You're just the one, they just got pregnant. That doesn't make them more of a whore. There we go.
It's broken.
This is broken, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I just like they're not whores. They just got knocked up.
Yeah.
And they just didn't get an abortion. They should have gotten. That's the only problem. Is somebody should have been like, "Oh, you're not having this. You're 16 years old, and he's 17. Just get rid of it." I'm always shocked when people actually have babies.
Yeah.
My friend's kid just got a girl knocked up. She's 18, he's 19, and they're gonna do it because she's Mexican. And I'm like, what? Just get rid of it. That's such a bad idea. And I'm like, I know I'm a statistical guy. I'm always about statistics, but I'm like, if you're gonna have a kid now, or a kid later, it's just kid for kid.
Yeah.
Get rid of this one, have another kid later. You're like, it's human life. Like, what about that other kid that'll never be born? When you're 33 and have a regular job, like actually can afford to have a kid. Have that one instead of this one at 19.
Exactly.
The kid will be fine. He'll be appreciative of being alive. Everyone's like, those people should not even be born, like people in Ethiopia. Like, they're still happy to be alive. Or they just kill themselves.
But, or like, consider adoption at least.
Yeah, just don't get... It's just so stupid. Anyway, that's how I feel. But maybe I will do that. Abortion, like what it feels like. But then like, all those moments, like you wouldn't even think, like how do your parents feel about this? Like if I was interviewing Van Halen about being rock stars, you wouldn't think like, what did your mom say about all this stuff, seeing you on the news? Like that's the kind of experience I want to find out about, like all of it, not just like, seriously, like, what's it like? So then I can't judge. I don't want to judge people. That's why I call it skepticism. My kind of skepticism is when you're not saying things are wrong. That's the bad rap skepticism gets. It's just when you want to find out. So you just want to ask questions. If they're like 2 + 7 is 9, like, well, how come? You're not saying you're wrong, just teach me why that is. That's what skepticism is, just trying to find out about shit. So that's all I'm trying to do is find out about shit. My favorite one is the second episode I did with this guy who just does hookers. Yeah. No regular, like, freebies or whatever you call them. Mm-hmm. Only hookers. He's accepted that in his life. He's not getting laid, so he's just going to go to hooker. And it's really cool just hearing the whole, like, where to go to get them, like, massage parlors, what's that all about? How do you feel? Are you worried about, disease? How do your friends feel about it? Do they judge you? How do you feel about them judging you? All that stuff. And then you realize, like, okay, I'm not in that place where I gotta do that or want to do that, but he is. And that's a completely valid, like, way of life. Yes, I try to do that. So that's the only work you gotta put in is, like, just think of some questions.
Yeah.
And then it's super easy after that. You just sort of talk. Excellent. You trust, a lot of the people I have are comics and they're just funny naturally. So they tell you their version of the world in a funny way. Or I am, so I kind of, yeah, I like it. And it gives people a really good, like, this is who you are. So you're not, like, acting. In terms of, like, credits for, like, stand-up, it's not, like, it's the shit that you're normally doing, so it's okay. That's why, if I was a character on stage, it might be easier to do something else, but whatever. I'm me, so it's fine.
Exactly. Now, when you were young, you really studied Judaism quite a bit. But when you got older, you've mentioned on the podcast a couple times that you kind of lost your faith a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about how someone who's very involved with it kind of lost their faith in general?
I was in Israel studying it. I choked to death, thank God. Studying in yeshiva, like 14, 15 hours a day, just studying Talmud all day long. Break for lunch and prayers, and right there, we pray right by your desk where you learn. It was fun. I was succeeding. It was the first time I succeeded in like a schooling environment.
Yeah.
There's no grade. You just study. The more you study, the better respect you'll get or whatever. It was great. And then I got home, did it for 2 years, and then I got back to America. I went to like a split curriculum college, Yeshiva University, which was morning was like Hebrew stuff, Talmud, and then afternoon was like all your regular classes, sociology and all that junk. And then one day I just thought about it and I realized I didn't believe in God. It just wasn't inside me. I started looking back to one moment where I was in yeshiva and there was this light fixture that went like above your bed. So I would turn it on. You can't operate lights on the Sabbath, Friday night,
really?
Sundown to Saturday sundown. No electricity. Can't use fire, no electricity. That's why you can't use electricity, because it's like a spark inside. You can't write, you can't use money. It's a day of rest. So they have a bunch of rules of what that's called. So I had this light. So I had this cup that you used to wash your hands, which I could put on top of the light to drown out the light so I could sleep. But it wouldn't stay. It kept sliding off. And a part of me was like, maybe I'll just turn this fucking light off. I'm sitting there going like, I can't sleep because it's light. Like, maybe I'll just turn it off. And I kept trying to put the cup on. It kept sliding off. I'm like, fuck. But my dorm window was right by the entranceway that everybody passed. I'm like, somebody's going to fucking see it. My light suddenly goes off. I get in trouble. And I would think about that moment over and over again for like years. Until I realized, like, if I had a true, full belief in God, there would be no moment of like, maybe I should do this. It would instantly be like, no, God will catch you. It's like, I had to compare it to this. If you believe in your father, like your father's real, and he's in the room, if he's right over there, and no one else is here, I wouldn't masturbate in front of him, because I know my dad would feel weird about that, and I believe he's there.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't want me to do that. So I wouldn't just start jacking, because I know he's there. But if I knew God was there, I wouldn't think to do something he says no to. I might grudge against him, like, oh, we shouldn't do that. Why does he tell me not to do that? But I wouldn't think to do it, because he's going to catch me. And so maybe you have the thought, well, then I guess you don't really believe. It's just not inside me. And I started becoming okay with that. And I was agnostic for a long time because I was too cowardly to realize that you could just take a stand. Because everybody goes, well, maybe, how do you know? I'm like, that maybe thing? Then maybe bears talk when they're alone. You can't prove it. And it's not even worth talking about. There's nothing else in my life that I'll allow a conversation. Like, maybe there's a ghost right there. Like, well then, fine, then believe if you want. I don't care. Yeah. You can't just say, how do you know there's not? It's just stupid. There's no argument there. And they were like, well, they didn't know about, you know, like the periodic table, all the elements and stuff before they discovered them. I'm like, yeah, but there was a way to discover them. There was a possible way to prove or disprove that gold exists. You could do tests. You could do, if you hadn't discovered gold yet, you could figure out, or we can then discover it. But until you have, there's no point in talking about it. And to me, it's just like, it's just not a thing. It's ridiculous. Have you ever heard of the spaghetti monster?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you do that, well, in general, no, it's from somebody else, some theologian from a long time ago. They'll use it.
Oh, cool.
But it's just like, all the stuff you can apply to Jesus or God, this guy wants to apply to a flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah.
It's like, I believe in a flying spaghetti monster who sees our sins and decides, and people are like, that's ridiculous. Like, it's not any more ridiculous than the Jesus story. It's the same shit. It's not real, you can't be proven, so you're just making some shit up and say we all have to stick to that. And I can't buy beer on a Sunday because you believe in this crazy thing and I don't. So it's like, just get rid of all, I just feel more and more I believe it's just stupid. And in the Catholic Church with all those rapes.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the organization you're a part of. I fully come to terms with this now. If you're still a part of the organization of the Catholic Church, you are intentionally staying a part of a group that has covered up child molestation. That's your choice to stay with that group. If you were a Republican, do you have parties in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Democrat and Republican. What are you guys? Labor?
Liberal and conservative.
Okay.
And NDP.
Okay, if you were a part of the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party, the people in charge of the Liberal Party, started, let's try to not make it molestation, started just punching someone in the face. A teacher, every day, someone from the Liberal Party would come to a school, a random school, and punch them in their face. If you continue to vote for those people, you're saying, yeah, I might not like the punching in the face, but they paved the roads really well, so I guess I'll put up with it. But are you willing to put up with that, with fucking a boy in the asshole against his will? Because that's what they cover up. They choose to cover that up. So that's who you're staying with. You can just worship Jesus and not be part of the Catholic Church. But if you choose to stay part of that, you're condoning that. That's my feelings on it. Anyway.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's crazy because my parents, the priest that married them, got relocated.
Really?
Yeah.
Get out! Go to Anglican or just regular Christian. I get it. It's just Catholics, right?
Yeah.
Protestant priests, they don't do that.
No, because they can get married.
Oh.
I think so, at least.
Yeah, probably. That sounds right. Get out! It's a bad organization.
It's crazy.
There's plenty of other ones. You can still worship Jesus. It's almost the same religion.
Because I think that some people, like, who do believe in God and Jesus and that sort of thing, well, they want to, if you want to worship God, you should do it in your own way and not be, because I remember going to church as a kid, I was so fucking bored.
Yeah.
Like,
because you have to worship the way your forefathers had to worship.
Yeah.
In Judaism too, you read this in Old Hebrew, which you can barely even understand even if you know Hebrew. You have to say these prayers But it's like, they used to talk this.
Mm-hmm.
So they were praying to God in a language they understood.
Yeah.
But I don't. So I'm just saying words and sounds. What good is that? What good does that do me?
Exactly. I find the truth is so much more cruel, but far more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's horrible sometimes, reality.
Do you think Michelle Bachmann is scarier than Sarah Palin?
I don't really know her that much. I'm not really a political guy. Is she super conservative?
She's the leader of the Tea Party. She just announced her intention to run for presidency.
The Tea Party's not going to win. They just keep Republicans. They keep Republicans in fear, from what I've seen. Like they have to we got to answer them, so they have to go further that way. And so some Republicans those guys are crazy people. Don't worry about them. They're voting for you or Tea Party. They're not voting for Democrat. Just don't even try to. It's way better to get the the Democrats that are thinking of moving rather than going that far to helping the Tea Party people. Yeah, I just don't follow politics. I came early to this idea that my vote doesn't make a difference mathematically, and just let it taken care of for me. People rail against it. Stanhope and Rogan. Rogan's finally got him out of that. What do you think you do with your vote? What do you think it matters? It's you're taking a part in this. You ain't doing shit. If you have 12 choices of true and false, the odds of you getting them all just by guessing is something astronomically small.
Yeah.
Just 12. If you have a jury of 12 people, I don't know if you guys do jury systems, you have 12, and if it's 6 and 6, it's hung. The idea that if you're the 12th person to vote, your vote swaying it either way, is so small, the chance. Just 12 people. When you go millions, people in Hawaii are voting for president already knowing who the president is. It's already done. They're votes are in, these states have already...
Really?
Yeah, and because they're 5 hours behind California, right, which is 8 hours, that's already 3 hours behind, whatever. So all those major states are in. When late in California, if it's a landslide, you pretty much know.